Okay, so I want to thank Grace and J.R.D and Dark Coast Press for including me in this reading. It's really awesome to be here. First time reading at Elliott Bay Books, which is also really awesome. Yeah. So this is not the first time I've worn these goggles. So I'm Dietz. Tonight I wanted to read a short version of Chapter 2 from Super, which was published by Emergency Press. And so far in this book, you are a level 1 superhero taking a test to become a level 2 superhero. And so yes, you are a character in the novel, all of you. In fact, you're pretty badass. So, anyway, you've mastered level 1, which means you've mastered being mighty. Later you'll move on to mastering vigilance and virtue and leadership, and if you're lucky, you'll master invulnerability. In level 2, you're working on mastering beauty, and I can tell that none of you will find that a challenge at all. So, also in level 2, you've been reading up on these 4 characters who have been operating as superheroes. That's where you use superpowers to help people and stuff. But they're not licensed or anything, so the Super Services Division has issued a warrant for their apprehension. So you'll hear more about those characters in a moment. Level 2, Beauty. You're taking the Level 2 examination for promotion because the Pike County Super Services Division has determined that there is a need for a Level 2 superhero. You have successfully passed the interview, good job, and you are still a potential candidate for the position. You are required to pass 2 VCR, virtual combat room, scenarios before moving on to the Level 2 psychological assessment. For each scenario, a passing grade is 70 points. Scenario 1, the press conference. Objective: avoid or redirect questions from members of the press successfully. If you answer 0 questions, you get 100 points. 90 points for less than 10% of the questions answered, 80 points for less than 20%, and you can still pass if you answer 30% or less of the questions. 5 bonus points awarded for each request for a date. 20 bonus points awarded for each marriage proposal. All right, scenario 2, the clerk. Convince the bank teller to give you the full transaction history for account number 157-46491. For 100 points, you need to acquire the transaction history within 5 minutes. 90 points, acquire it within 10 minutes. If you acquire it within 20 minutes, you get 80. 30 minutes, you can still pass at 70 points. 10 bonus points awarded for not telling the clerk you are a superhero. Negative 50 points for using violence. That's just not appropriate in that situation. Okay, let's move on to the Level 2 psychological assessment. The Level 2 psychological assessment is given on the following pages. There is no time limit for completion of this assessment, but the length of time you take will be recorded and considered along with your responses. Directions. Read document C and then answer the related questions. There are no right or wrong answers. A reference sheet has been included as an optional aid. Researching related people and events in the Hall of Humanities archives is not allowed, so put away your cell phones. Google is also not allowed. Grading. The Super Services Division will evaluate your responses with guidance from a panel of peers at level 5 or higher. A passing grade will be acknowledged with a pay increase and official promotion to level 2 duties. All right. Let me get the reference sheet out. Okay, I hope you all can see that. So on the reference sheet, I've got a short list of some character names and a list of 4 superpowers The most important question on the psychological assessment is going to be which superpower belongs to which superhero. So keep that in mind while I read document C. All right? Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Document C, The Shot, by Irma. I woke up. The alarms were going off again. Tamara was staring out the window. I have a new power, I said. How do you always know, she asked. I just know. I got out of bed. I grabbed a clay mug off the dresser and dumped some earrings out of it. Think anyone will miss this? I asked. Tamara looked and shrugged. I thought of the power of fire and the mug melted in my hand. Tamara was still standing by the window. Maybe it's not a drill, I said. It took a second for her to speak. Yeah, she said, it's not a drill this time. How do you do it? I asked. What? You're always cool. Tamara shrugged. Your jacket, I said, holding it up. She smiled. I won't need it today. What's your new superpower? I can melt things, but I can't do it from a distance. I have to touch them. Tamara nodded. Is there a fight coming? I asked. I don't know yet. Dr. Ilona looked up as we walked by. She was locking her office, purse hanging from her shoulder. Pomo said they were going to the roof, she told us. She dropped her keys. Thanks, Tamara said. We went up several flights of stairs and out onto the roof. The air smelled like gas. Pomo and Nelson were on the far side. We walked toward them, passing the swimming pool and the tennis court. Pomo looked at us and held a finger to his mouth. Shh. He pointed to the edge of the roof, and then he and Nelson got on their knees and crawled over. Their heads peeked over the waist-high stone wall. I moved closer to look. The building was surrounded by tanks and jeeps and a thick barricade of people in uniform holding black weapons. Dr. Ilona was being escorted to a limousine just outside the ring of vehicles and soldiers. Tamara looked at me and shook her head once, from left to right. I shut my eyes and tried to stop hyperventilating. My body wouldn't listen to me. We'd been outnumbered before, but never like this. I opened my eyes and looked at Tamara again. She was calm. My breathing slowed. Then a blast of air flew by and Tamara fell back. Nelson jerked me down, his shoulder knocking the wind out of me when we landed. I turned my head and saw Pomo holding his cape against Tamara's shoulder. The cape was turning dark red. Nelson got off me and whispered to Tamara, "Are you okay?" She didn't answer, but she seemed alert. I wanted to say, "She can't hear you," but I couldn't breathe. Tamara looked at me. My head hurt and there was a loud rushing sound in my ears, drowning out my thoughts. Gradually the noise faded and I could hear my heart pumping blood to my head. Air flowed into my lungs. I heard Nelson ask Tamara again, "Are you okay?" Then he said it again and I realized he was shouting. He had been all along. I sat up. The sound of my pulse got louder and louder and soon Nelson looked up. He heard it too. "Choppers," he said. He was right. I wasn't hearing my pulse. It was the sound of helicopters. Suddenly I felt fine. I grabbed Tamara's ankles. Pomo grabbed her shoulders and we picked her up together. Nelson jogged ahead, looking out for the helicopters. 4 members of this superpowered team and not one of us can levitate stuff, Pomo said. "Hey, you're the alien," Nelson said. "Shouldn't you have a levitation device or something?" "I'll have to work on that." We carried Tamara across the tennis court and past the swimming pool. A tennis pool floated in the water. I moved my hand along the door frame, fusing the door to the wall. "There, it will take them a while to get in," I said. Nelson grabbed his communicator off his utility belt. "What are you doing?" Pomo asked. "I'm calling Reuben," Nelson said. "Hopefully he can stop them from killing us." Pomo looked at me and then said, "Nelson, it's not right to have to ask permission to use our powers." "Of course it's not right, but you're either dead or an officially recognized superhero, and I'm making the choice for you. Reuben might be a sleazy superhero agent, but he's our only hope of getting out of this alive." "You'll be enlisted too," Pomo said. "They'll get all of us." I actually prefer that over dying at the hands of a scary team of professionals trained in taking down illegal superheroes. You're all so damned loyal to each other, you're going to get each other killed. Pomo, I said, I wouldn't be alive right now if it weren't for your help. I'll do whatever you want. It wouldn't change the core of what we do, Pomo said. We can't help people if we're dead. I sat on the carpet next to Tamara. She was unconscious, but breathing strong. I checked the bandage on her shoulder. Nelson said, if I live through this, I'm becoming a film producer. Okay. Pomo said, a waste of your powers. The communicator beeped. Nelson, a voice said. Reuben, Nelson answered, we need some help and we need it fast. I looked at Tamara. If I live through this, I said, I'm going to keep doing the same thing we're doing. All right, so psychological assessment time. Everyone ready? Okay. Use the information in document C to match each person with their superpower. So, what's Irma's superpower? It won't matter. Anyone else have any other? There are no right or wrong answers, just less right or yes, isn't that a fact? Tamara's power. Anyone? Yeah. That's pretty good. The girls doing very well. Pomo's power?
Resistance to all
yeah. Resistance to earthborne disease. Great. So Nelson, by process of elimination, it's a good thing he's talking to the agent, right? Yeah. Well, that was great. So there are no right or wrong answers. So wow, that really mattered. I have one more question. In document C, why does Irma appreciate Tamara's calm demeanor? Check all that apply. So that means you can raise your hand more than once. I'm going to read the options. Irma craves stability in her life. Yeah, I kind of think that. Irma is romantically interested in Tamara. Irma is scared. You seem kind of scared. Irma has no other female role models. Yeah. Other. Anyone think other? Yeah. Anyone have any specific theories they want to throw out? Okay, that's good. You don't have to have specific theories. So that was level 2 of Super, short version. Thank you and good luck on your patrols tonight.